Hello there, this is the Misanthropic Lord, and welcome to Firewatch. This is a first-person, not shooter, but it's the first-person adventure game, I guess? Kind of thriller, kind of suspense. Basically, you play a guy out in the middle of nowhere, being a Firewatch. You stay in a station and make sure that there's no fires. If there are fires, you report them. And that's about it. This is kind of a surprise sleeper hit wonder. There are a lot of people on YouTube that have already played through the entirety of it, and I don't feel like I need to do it myself. But I just wanted to give, if you're one of the few people who actually watches my channel, a little taste of what this game is about. You see Julia. She's about your age, late 20s, laughing with well-dressed professors and grad students from nearby CU Boulder. You, Henry, are out drinking with your pals. You approach her. You are drunk. So what do we say when someone is very drunk? We state the obvious.
Shiv, you're so pretty.
You're pretty, she says coolly. You are not. You are a future hangover.
What?
You reply confused.
Someone should buy you a cheeseburger, she says.
She flags down a waiter, and 1 week later, you are Julia's boyfriend. In the game, Julia's Australian, which is why I'm giving her a accent that's supposed to be Australian. It's failing horribly, but you know, I might as well give it a little bit of flavor. You play Henry, and Henry is going through some tough times. You'll see why in the next couple of little blurbs, but he's trying to kind of escape everything for a little bit. You date for over a year. She drives you absolutely nuts. It's great. You move in. You share an apartment near school with a view of the mountains. You two drink beers out on the deck. You drink beer just about everywhere. Life is good. Life is good. Julia wants to get a dog. There's a scruffy, undersized beagle. Julia is in love. She wants to bring it with her to class. There's an intimidating but gentle-eyed German Shepherd. Nothing bad could happen to Julia while walking this dog. It's badass. Well, obviously, we're going to adopt the shepherd and name him Mayhem, and he will destroy all that we oppose. Yes, yes, Mayhem. Mayhem's an excellent dog. He loves wrestling with you in the park and goes with Julia on her runs. Even though he's too big to bring to school, Julia loves him all the same. Mayhem is a friend, child, and pet all rolled into one. 1979. You talk out on the deck. It's summer, 9:30 p.m., and the heat still radiates off the high desert.
What do you think about kids? She asks.
Kids? You're not very smart or good at much.
I'm saying if you and I had some. A couple little idiots.
Maybe one day. What's the rush right now? She looks away out towards the mountains.
We have plenty of time, right?
Speak for yourself, mister. Don't worry, you ask. You tell her she has the body of an undergrad.
My ovaries didn't get the memo, she says, laughing it off.
One day, maybe.
All right, one day, she says.
6 months later, you get engaged, lying in bed on a Sunday morning. My sincerest apologies to the great country of Australia. This is a game about paranoia, guilt, self-doubt, and trying to figure out more about yourself, even when you're in the middle age. Henry, by the time that we play the game, is in his 40s. 1980. It's a Thursday night and Julia is 4 hours late. She doesn't call. You're worried and getting angrier by the minute. She walks in after you've gone to bed. She's not quite drunk, but she's been clearly having a good time. You fight when she gets between the sheets. Well, I get mad. I don't want to just ignore her. I want to get the fight out of the way. You call her an inconsiderate asshole. She tells you to go fuck yourself and not be such a baby. You call her selfish. She knows you mean it, and it hurts her feelings. Very real relationship. 1981. Julie still likes to draw. She draws plants from her research. She draws all the places you go. She draws you.
I feel like a Victoria's Secret model.
The one that I always truly wanted to be.
Julia was right. You are very pretty.
This game is absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, to the point where I had to wait before I even put this video out there because I didn't have a fast enough computer to run it. And now I do, and there's a lot to be said about the setting and choices of atmosphere that game gives. This game is set in 1989, before the advent of cell phones, selfies, the internet, and there's a lot of trying to figure out how you can help yourself without having a lot of the support that the internet and the global web gives you. 1982. During the summers, you and Julia enjoy walking Mayhem at night. There's a festival in town. It brings in folks from faraway places. One of them tries to mug you with a knife. Mayhem runs away.
Feck, dog!
Julia yells. She gets flustered and has trouble speaking when she's stressed. You confront the attacker. I scare him away with my manliness. You reach into your pocket like you've got a gun and threaten to kill him. You manage to scare all three of you. He runs away. Julia asks to take a different path from that day forward. You say okay. You don't want to go that way either. From then on, you walk by the river. 1984. Plans to have kids get waylaid by work. Sometimes life happens. Julia gets offered a job at Yale. Yale's in Connecticut, 2,000 miles away. It's a great job, associate department chair. She wants to move. You absolutely do not. In this case, agree if she commutes back and forth. You ask her if she'll commute back and forth. You don't want to move to Connecticut. She says it'll be hard, but she'll do it if you won't move. You tell her not to pass it up if it's what she wants. She agrees. She flies back to Boulder 3 times each semester. If people want to do things, don't block them. Do what they want to do. 1985. Julia is sent home from Yale on paid leave after having an episode. She lost it on a colleague for borrowing the books that are important to her research. She didn't remember that she had happily loaned them to him just 2 days prior. Yeah. She was found crying in the stairwell. You can't ignore it. You say that maybe you guys should talk to someone about it. If you ever have something happen to you in real life like this, you need to get help. After seeing multiple doctors and having many tests, they are worried that Julia might be suffering from early onset dementia. She is 41. You both decide to keep it a secret for now. That's a terrible choice, but I understand where they're coming from. Alright, cue the animated drawn penis in 3, 2, 1. You were warned, but you're welcome. You are welcome, Internet. Mayhem is getting older. He's got silver hair down his back and slows down at night. You and Julia walk him to the bar as you see your friends, and it feels like nothing has changed. Julia goes back to university. (1987). Julia's affliction gets worse. She can't remember things in class. Her research is in shambles. She drives her car to the next town over for no particular reason and has to be brought home by the police. She is devastated. She is sent home on permanent medical leave. Some days you get the Julia who calls you a dope and your unborn children little idiots. Other days you get a stranger. She pulls you into bed to make love. After 5 minutes she goes into a panic, believing her dad is at the door. This is a very sad beginning. It's kind of like Up. You tell her family. They are crushed and begin to make trips to and from their home in Australia to visit her. For a while, your friends come by with little things to brighten the day. Julia gets worse. (1988). You spend your days following Julia around the house. You count the seconds between the 2 weekly visits from Daniel, the nurse. He suggests that Julia could live somewhere else, somewhere with 24-hour care, a home. It sits with you for a couple months. Now, this is one of those decisions that might be seen as unpopular, but regular people don't have the expertise or education to care for someone like that correctly. So there's really no choice but to get her moved into somewhere where she's able to get the care that she needs. That you can't do it by yourself. And if you do it by yourself, it's just going to wear you down to the point where it sounds selfish, but in order to get the people the care that they properly need, you need help. Or at least, maybe, I don't know. It's a very beautiful game, and it's also very, very sad. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of Up, and how everything that happens in the relationship before is a preface for what happens in this game. It's very well done. Her family agrees with your decision. You find fantastic place in Boulder and move her there. You see her every day. And then you see her every other day. You go out to the bar with your old friends. It's not the same, though. You get the feeling that every wife tells her husband, "If you ever put me in a home like Henry did, I will cut your balls off." You slowly decide not to see your old friends that much. And isolation is the first step to being super depressed. But sometimes it's just how you feel. 1989. Julia's sister Susan moves to Boulder to be close to her. She visits her every day. You go with her some of the time. Susan buys you an old typewriter and urges you to use it if you won't see a therapist. You won't. You've always really liked Susan. Months go by and Mayhem dies. Julia doesn't remember him when you tell her. Sometimes it takes her a minute to lock in onto you. In the back of your mind, you believe it's because you see her less and less, and seeing her less and less makes her forget you more, you think. Summer is coming, and you see an ad in the paper for a job. You take it. And now we get to the game portion of the game. You're in charge of a nature preserve, making sure that there's no fires around. But that background is not only beautiful, but it's essential for the makeup of this game to begin with. You are all by yourself on this preserve, and you only have another person on the radio to talk to. I like the choose your own adventure way that they did this. And in multiple playthroughs, there are little changes, but it doesn't seem like there's too grand of changes. Although, I feel when I make my choices that I don't want to make other choices. I want the Henry that I have, because it's the type of person that I think I would probably be in this situation. I forgot to turn on subtitles, so it's not going to show up on the screen, and I apologize for that. I usually like to have subtitles on here just in case. I don't know, you have the sound turned off. It's a very smart game. The dialogue is done extremely well in between Delilah and Henry. And during your conversations in the game, it kind of depends on you as a player on what choices you want to make. Do you end up going back to your wife? Do you end up choosing to stay with Delilah? It's all about how you figure...
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said.
Henry out as a person. What does Henry want? What does he
what's wrong
feel
with you?
like?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's a great idea. Go ahead.
Look, I just hiked for 2 days, so I don't really follow whatever it is you're doing right now.
You take a stab at what's wrong with me.
Fine, then can I sleep forever?
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
Is his guilt so much that he feels he's responsible, or that he didn't help his wife
Okay,
enough?
You're probably just rebelling against a mom who wishes you had given her grandkids, by the sound of your voice, at least 15 years ago. You come out here and it really grinds her gears and you love it. Can I sleep now?
Well, she also says I fuck immature men, but in my defense, who wouldn't want a 28-year-old with ambition and energy and some fire in his belly in bed?
Me, I'm going now.
Just a second, now it's my turn.
Okay, good night, bye.
Let's see. I don't know anything about you, but 9 times out of 10, folks out here simply got dumped.
It depends on you, on what you want out of the experience.
Good night.
And there's something very genuine about that. About letting you make your own experiences It's a funny game too. It's funny and it's thoughtful, sometimes sad, sometimes suspenseful. There's a hint of paranoia. It's a very good story. It's a very good, beautiful
Morning, Henry.
exploration
Well, I
game
guess good
with
afternoon. You probably slept like a rock. Anyway, there's still a few hours of daylight to get some work in. I can see you at your desk, so call me when you're ready.
elements of action and adventure, drama and suspense. It's only a couple hours. It ends up being around 4.5, I think is what I took with it. You can take longer if you want to explore a little bit more. But for what you get, this is a very well done, surprising game. And there's a reason that there's a lot of YouTube videos on it. That's just my 2 cents. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, this is the Misanthropic Lord, signing off.